Okay, now I want to move on to my quote. I started to add, it's back over here in our HTML, I added this section that I'm calling quote. So I basically want to build a little bit of a block, and with some larger text, I'm going to add in a quote by Tom Waits. That means I want to go ahead and add a paragraph. I'm going to give that paragraph an ID of quote. And then I'll go and grab some text that I can add inside that paragraph. And actually I already know one, so I'm just going to add it in. Okay, so I have the content there, but there's a lot of things I want to do to it. So first I want to make it big. So I'm going to use that ID to style this text. So I'm going to go over to my style.css. ID, so I need a hash, and then quote. And actually, maybe I want to do multiple quotes. So I'm going to change this into a class instead. I need to do that here and also over here. All right, that will allow me to give it to to have more than just one quote with the same styling. So first thing is I want to give it the font family of my heading up here. So I'm going to go and grab that font family, and actually I'm going to grab all three of these. I don't want it the same size, but I'll change that in just a minute. So I'm going to copy those and give it to the quote, and then make my font much smaller. Maybe I'll go with 40. Okay, I think that looks good so far. I'm going to go ahead and make this smaller. So I'm going to change the width to 60%. Maybe 70%. Oh, not 670. And then I'm going to set it to align in the center. I'm going to give it some padding at the top. Actually, I'm going to give it padding all the way around. And then I'm going to add a border around the whole thing. And instead of solid, maybe actually I want this dashed. Then I want to push that away, so I'm also going to give it, I'm actually going to do this to, that's okay, margin dash top. To push it, give it some room there. And actually, now that I've done that, I don't think I want this line right here. Oh, that's okay. I'll just leave it for now. I'd probably go back and take that out. And maybe one last thing, I'm going to go ahead and text dash align center. Yeah, I think that looks good. Okay, now that I've got some content going on, I'm going to go ahead and set my height for my main to auto so that as I add more and more content, it can grow. Because remember, I need at least, 5 more images and a lot more text. So back over in my CSS, I'll find main. Here's my height. I'll go ahead and set that to auto. Okay. All right, so I'm going to add in my next section, and for this I'm actually just going to make one image stretch all the way across. So to add that section over in my index, and I'm actually going to go ahead and call this section I'm going to make this a class. Call it banner. And then inside here, go ahead and insert an image. Oops. I need my source. I have an image that will look good as a banner. And add my alt. And I can't forget to close my angle bracket. And I can see this is huge. So I need it to fit inside this section. That means I need that image to be set to 100% of its parent. So I'm going to go ahead and that is one thing I'm going to do right here in line. One of the only things. Remember, all your other styling needs to be done in your CSS. But I am going to go ahead and add a style attribute. And then inside the quotations here, I can now write inline CSS. So I'm going to set the width to 100% to force it to be 100% in width of the section. And I'm not setting height because I don't need to. It just is adjusting according to those images there. I think that section looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and add a 2-column text heavy section. So let's see how to do that next. Okay, my next section, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 columns of text. So I'm going to go ahead and add the section. I'm going to go ahead and add, I'll start out with 1 paragraph. I'll probably want to add some more in just a minute, but I'll pop over and grab my content. I'm going to do these 3 paragraphs. And bring them over one at a time so I can put them in separate paragraph tags. Okay, so here I have a lot of text, and remember I took the margin and padding away from all paragraphs, so that's why I'm not seeing space in between the paragraphs themselves. Okay, so I can go ahead and start styling. There's a couple things I want. I want this styling to match this paragraph styling up here. I want it to be justified as well. So that class of justify I can give to this. And let me go ahead and I'm only going to give, well, that's okay. I'll just give it these paragraphs. So class equals justify. Give that to all 3 paragraphs. Then I want to add some space in between the paragraphs to break them up a little bit. And I think I'm going to go ahead and add that in as a class. I'm going to call this P space. And let's see, I want margin on the bottom of each paragraph. Whoops. All right, I created that class. Now I have to give it to those paragraphs. So back over here, after justify, add in P space. And there's a ton of ways I could have done this. I'm adding them in as a bunch of classes. I could combine some of these classes, the code in the CSS. This is fine for now. And actually I don't need it on that bottom one. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Okay, so next I actually want to create 2 columns similar to what we did up here with text and image, but I want them flipped so that the images are on the right and the text is on the left. But that means I need to place this into one thing that I then can move over. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap an article around them. So here before the first paragraph, go ahead and open an article and then take that closing article tag all the way down here to the bottom so that I have that article that I can now target. So I'm going to go ahead and give that article an ID.